hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh, God.
Welcome to the She's So Right Show on 960 AM The Patriot. Meet your hosts, Lindsey Graham, labeled the Patriot Barbie by the leftist mob, who was one of the first Americans to defy lockdowns and open her business. After finding how tyrannical government can be when disobeyed, she became a proud advocate for freedoms and conservative values. Her new book, Targeted, shows readers how glorious life is when you stand up for what you believe in and God rewards you. Brandy Barclay is a powerful Christian voice on Faith Talk Radio, the founder of Power Soul, and a Christian life coach. Brandy, like many Americans, has seen political division terrorize this nation and wants to reinforce traditional values. And now, guys, get ready to say it more than you're used to. She's So Right with Brandy Barclay and Lindsey Graham.
Hey, welcome to the She's So Right Show. I'm Brandy Barclay, and I'm sitting next to my fabulous, badass co-host, Lindsey Graham. And today, it's going to be all about her because last show was all about me. We just want you guys to know who we are, where we came from, why the heck you would want to listen to us two crazy cats. And to be honest, I met Lindsey, about a year ago or so. She had just rolled in from Oregon, sick and tired of her freedom being taken away, being bullied by the left and Antifa, and her businesses were being shut down. Her kids were being threatened. And this, bold woman followed God, came to Arizona, didn't even know where in Arizona she was landing. We ended up at a political event, and we connected. And I just knew she was my girl. And throughout the last year, we've seen each other at all different places, and God has brought us to this place. And I'm so excited to learn more because, to be honest, I haven't even asked her whole life story. I've gotten little bits, but today we're going to ask her. So, Linz, I want to know, we know, well, if you heard the last show, guys, she talked about being canceled, being bullied, what that looked like. But I want to go further back.
Okay.
Where did you, before all that happened,
I was born on March
11th. Not that far.
6 pounds, 2 ounces. Okay, so if I were to kind of sit here and tell my story in a nutshell, it goes far back. It goes back to all this time in my life when God was preparing me for this. But when I feel like I got my voice and I found my calling and I found my platform is about a year and a half ago. I kind of became this person with this voice 18 months ago when I opened my business against lockdowns. So this is in Oregon, and Governor Kate Brown is a tyrant, and she still has mask mandates outdoors. We are in 2021, people, the end of 2021. And so I had just had our third baby. I had taken a month off from maternity leave. I was loving it. The lockdowns kicked in March 23rd. And I went, okay, well, God's letting me have more time with my baby. I can totally appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And at this time, you guys, I've been a Christian my whole life. I've loved the Lord my whole life. I've gone through my ups and downs, lots and lots of downs, some ups. My up is right now where my faith is just on fire for Jesus. But during this time, I was probably what you would call a lukewarm Christian. Mm-hmm. And I locked down for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. At 6 weeks, I was trying to sneak in behind closed doors and do clients and make my living. And I was like, you know what? This is not right. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't God, I don't think, unless it was and I didn't recognize it. But I said, you know what? I'm going to open. I have a right to open my business. I have a right to work and provide for my family. I told my husband, are you okay with this? I don't think it's going to be a big deal because I've called around. I called the police. I called the sheriff. I called Oregon OSHA. No one was enforcing these lockdowns.
Well, did you see Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done?
Yeah. That was right. So that was right after.
Hello.
Yeah. Hypocrites. So at this point, in America, only 2 other people that I'm aware of had opened. Shelley Luther in Texas, and then there was a guy named Carl who was a barber in New Jersey or something. This was before even the Attila's gym guys opened. So I said, I'm going to open. And I didn't really plan to do it publicly. But I had shared on a group, guys, hey, I have a right to work, and I'm going to stand up for that right. I'm going to open. And that post got shared over and over and over and over on Facebook. And all of a sudden I had emails from local news companies saying, we want to interview you. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? So this is a big deal now. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. If you're going to give me a microphone, I'm going to tell Oregon why I'm opening. I'm not getting PPP loans. I'm not getting unemployment. My kids are not being provided for. I don't want the government's money anyway. I have a right to work. And so I did. I opened. That decision was a catalyst in my life. I mean, it changed everything. It changed the entire course of my life. And this is where our stories are so similar. I owned the biggest salon probably in that area of Oregon. I had 25 independent contractors that worked. I had a 5,000 square foot building. I had just spent $100,000 renovating it. We were like the number one salon. I was at the peak of my career, like you were saying, the peak. There was nowhere else to go. I was living life. I was living my best life. I loved my life. And, God had to find a way to take all that away from me to do what he's doing in my life now. And so my story became national news at that point. I was threatened by Oregon OSHA. I was threatened that I would get a $70,000 citation before I even opened my doors. He showed up and threatened me. I kind of walked through the whole scenario with him, and he said, listen, if I come back here tomorrow and your doors are open, you're getting a $70,000 citation. And I said, well, what if I don't let you in? And he said, well, then I'll get a warrant. And I go, perfect. You're going to go get a warrant then. I'm not letting you, I'll let my clients in.
So good.
Yeah, not letting you in. Well, he did. He went and got a warrant. And so throughout the next 10 days, while I was just trying to just do hair and earn a living, I still didn't think this was that big of a deal. Oregon OSHA had continued to stalk me and threaten me. The city of Salem, who I had my lease with, said, if you're disobeying your lease outline by not obeying the mandate, so we could terminate your lease. The Oregon Health Authority sent letters to myself and all my stylists and said, we understand that you're operating at this facility, which is against the mandate. Close your doors and cease operation, or you could get either a $50,000 a day citation, a Class C misdemeanor, or we could revoke your license. So they had sent that to, I only had 4 other stylists that were willing to work that weren't scared to death.
Wow.
And they had all gotten that letter, and they were just terrified they were going to lose their license. More than anything, actually. Can you believe that? More than they were scared of a fine or a Class C misdemeanor. They were afraid they were going to lose their livelihood.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a license, their aesthetic license. You don't want to lose that.
No, your career's over.
That's all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So at that point, some of them had decided that they needed to either, stop working, or, ironically as it is, the next county was now open. Because, how governors were saying, this county can be open because your numbers are down.
At the same time, we're like Target, Walmart, all those are open.
Yes,
right?
Home
Everything's
Depot's
open.
Yeah,
Yep.
Winco's open. There's people in herds in Walmart touching everything. But, it's unsafe for me to do my 5 clients. So let's see. Someone else threatened me. Who was it?
With City CPS came after.
So, yeah. So the final straw was I had done a press conference and said, I have a right to work. I have a right to earn for my family and feed my kids. And so the second day that I was open, CPS, Child Protective Services, came to my front door with a, basically an invalid claim. And wanted to interview my children, interviewed me and my husband privately. They wanted to interview my 3-year-old daughter. They checked my baby's diaper. I mean, this is like outrageous stuff, you guys. And I can talk about this now, fine. But at the time, my world was falling apart, like little by little by little. And having these people come to your home, I mean, they gave me a piece of paper. But he specifically handed me a piece of paper before he left about what happens if they remove your kids from your house. And I just lost it. It was the ultimate nightmare, having my kids threatened. And gosh, we overcame that too. My attorney said, we're going to file a tort claim against them. We're going to shut this down. And 2-3 days later, they did close that case. But what had happened was throughout this whole process, I was losing my identity as Lindsey Graham, the salon owner. I mean, it was weird. People would recognize me out like, oh, you own Glamour Salon. I'm like, what? It's not like I don't have a TV show. It's a hair salon. But I was a pillar in my
hair is very important.
It is. And people they're weird about like, if your stylist is really good, and we're going to touch on that too. If she's really good, then it's like, ooh, you go to her. It's not like I was expensive or like a celebrity platform artist or anything. I just was really good at my job. And I was, like I said, I was a pillar in the community. I did fundraisers. I raised money for, girls in Haiti. I was and am still a good person, but that was all overshadowed by the leftist cancel culture that said, you're a murderer, you're selfish, you care more about doing hair than you do about killing people. This is a publicity stunt. My governor actually went on the news and said, Lindsey Graham is she is dangerous and irresponsible, and no one should ever use a pandemic as an excuse for publicity stunt. So she put a target on my back. So, Salem, Oregon is a very liberal community, much like Portland and Eugene, kind of that whole strip right there. And so Salem leftists, I mean, they jumped at the chance to cancel me. I was getting name called. They were the ones calling Oregon OSHA every day. She's still working. She's still working. I'm sure they were like, okay, we know. It's on the news. Like, we know what she's doing. They were messaging me, calling me names, threatening me, hoping that I would get, like, what they did to President Trump when he got COVID? Oh, I hope you die because you're the one that's irresponsible. They were hoping I would get COVID. My kids would get COVID and we would all die. No one would treat us. I was just like, the hate is unreal. And while this is happening simultaneously, across the U.S., people are sending me letters and calling and saying, thank you for standing up. Thank you for your bravery. And this is all surreal to me, you guys, because I didn't believe I was doing anything awesome. And I still I touch on this in my book. I look back at that whole situation and I go, who was that girl? Like, it's just like an out-of-body experience for me.
Yeah. But were you like, did you even care about politics until this happened? Like, were you more liberal? Were you more like, what was your stance before any of this happened, and did it change?
Okay, so yes, it did. Great question. I was and always have been a registered Republican. I've always had conservative beliefs and values. I even more so do now. But it was really ironic because I was pretty quiet about my beliefs politically because as a hairstylist, and you probably know this, right? You don't talk religion or politics.
Right.
Well,
I know, I did all the time too.
Yeah, I'm like, those are like kind of two things. Well, the religion thing, I was, passionate about. I wanted to talk about Jesus, but politics was a no-go. And, politics didn't really affect my life that much at this point, but now it did. And I still was like, what does this have to do with Trump? What does this have to do with voting Republican? Like, this is not a Republican Democrat thing. This is we all have a right to work thing. I don't understand it. But the hate mail and the hate calls and the emails that came that would say like, you're a stupid Trump supporter. And I was like, when did I ever say I supported Trump? I do. But when did I ever say that? They immediately labeled me. They immediately targeted me. And it became like, oh, dude, if we're going to draw lines in the sand, then I know which side I'm on. And they created this monster that you're hearing right now on the radio. Like, I was chill being, a quiet, reserved conservative. I voted the way I wanted. When politics became an ethical thing, I have an opinion, like on abortion, things like that. But I was going to be okay just, laying low on the political scene. And I'm not now.
Really? You think?
Yeah. Here I am, folks.
Hello.
I got opinions and I get to say them.
Well, because you saw
I saw
firsthand.
Yeah.
Like when they come after you, how vicious it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No joke.
I experienced cancel culture to the core. So here's where cancel culture really kicked in. I was okay with being called a murderer because it was like, well, that's not true. No one's dying. No one, still to this day, by the way, ever got COVID in my salon. And also I was like, I don't see you calling Walmart managers murderers. Like, they're going to work and they're just as in contact with your grandma as I am.
None of it makes any sense.
No. I think this show is pointless. Right?
Well, gosh, you guys. So last week we were on and she said the funniest thing. She just goes, to be honest, everything we're talking about should be pointless because it just makes so much common sense that it's almost ridiculous,
Yeah,
right?
her and Matt were messaging me that whole day after, like,